Now, who do you imagine when you think of a brilliant scientist who turns into a mutant for the sake of science? No, we're not talking about the Incredible Hulk, but someone who has a similar storyline. Now, as a contemporary to the Green Goliath, Marvel Comics had another character under their sleeves. The character was an anti-hero who was struggling to find his identity in a world which was polarized towards the good guys. If you're not living under a rock, then you might have heard about the latest Sony venture, which just got a new trailer titled Morbius. The film draws a life of the anti-hero of the same name. Now, you see, the storyline is quite generic and similar to that of Hulk, but it has its spice, or should we say blood, in it. Now, in this video, we decrypt the character of Morbius just for you. But before we jump in, make sure you hit the subscribe button for such a fantastic content, and without further ado, let's begin. When Nobel Prize winning biochemist Dr. Michael Morbius tries to create a cure for his rare blood disease, little does he know that it will turn into a curse, which has to bear for his entire life? Now, attempting an experimental treatment, he transforms into a pseudo-vampire with superhuman abilities and an overwhelming bloodlust. The paradox which his character is built around is that he needs to drink blood in order to stay alive. But once the blood reaches his guts, he turns back to normal and is filled with remorse and guilt. The rare blood disease, the cure of which turned him into a bloodthirsty vampire, has been with Morbius since he was a child. His father had abandoned his family when he was young, and his only support was his mother and friend Emil Nikos. Now, Morbius was not a very friendly child. I mean, his mother often forced him to stay indoors because of her fear that her son might get hurt if he goes outside. But Michael, like every other child, often used to escape with Nikos. During one of these escapades, Michael falls and gets seriously injured. This makes Emil promise not to let anything like this happen in the future. So, what's next? The duo goes to college and studies science so that they can find a cure to Michael's disease. Their research into using vampire bat blood to make a cure earns Morbius the Nobel Prize. Now, you must be thinking, when did it all go wrong? Hold your horses, we're about to get there. You see, Michael insists on performing the next leg of his research out on the ocean for the sake of security. But this is where it all goes down south. Feeling that death was imminent, Michael rushes an experiment to create new blood cells using electricity, wearing an insulated suit with a high collar that would later go on to become his trademark look. The procedure turns Morbius into a living vampire. Out of control, he strikes out at Nikos and kills him. Now, Michael regrets his actions immediately and starts to try and turn his weakness into his strengths. You see, he uses his intellect and the Nobel Prize money to fund the experiments that turned him into a living vampire. Now, in his vampiric state, Morbius' face changes to look more bat-like. His bones also become partially hollow, which allow him to fly through the wind. His new form also gives him heightened senses, as well as increased stamina, speed, strength, and durability. He survives many, potentially deadly injuries, only to bounce back with barely a scratch. Unfortunately, all of these superhuman abilities come about because he needs to feed on the blood of the living. You see, he possesses many traditional vampire strengths, such as self-regeneration, hypnotic powers, and gliding. However, he does not have their weaknesses towards the sun, garlic, and religious artifacts. He can regenerate injured tissue, but he is not invulnerable. Morbius's body has difficulty repairing itself if he has consumed sufficient blood. The bloodthirsty scientist that meets the friendly neighborhood Spider-Man, and thus begins the saga of Morbius and Spidey. Both of them become arch-nemesis, and Morbius also gets in a few feuds with Dr. Connors, aka the Lizard, the Fantastic Four, and Jack Russell, aka Werewolf. He also plays his tenure as a good guy, but considers his bloodlust as his greatest foe. Now, it is his bloodlust that turns him into Morbius the Living Vampire from Dr. Michael Morbius. With Sony releasing a movie about him, the character is sure to get a lot of limelight. The fans of Marvel and Sony will love to see the franchise explore a bit of the darkness through Morbius. So, what do you think? Put your views down in the comments below, and don't forget to hit that like and subscribe button. And as always, thanks for watching.